Excuse me, Stalker, do you have a minute to give an interview? Yeah, tell me about it. Any interesting insights in your research? Wow, sounds like you've thought about this stuff pretty deeply. So what's the big takeaway lesson you've learned then? What can you share with the rest of us? Harmonize with the chaos. I like that. Thanks for the interview. Someone shoot those dogs. They're busting up my interview. Excuse me, Stalker. Would you be willing to give me an interview about your time in the zone? It looks to me like you're just standing there. You sure you're not down for an interview? It can be anonymous. Say, Stalker, do you have time to give me a short interview about what you've seen and experienced in the zone? What if we went inside, somewhere under a roof? Alright, we're inside, out of the rain. Are you ready for that interview now? So first off, what brought you to the zone in the first place? Seems like a pretty horrible place, isn't it? Have you made a lot of cash so far? Looks like you're still rocking that leather jacket. I haven't heard about a bulletproof jacket. Is that thing anomalous or something? So what's the biggest score that got away from you? Damn, I've heard of those things. Sakharov talked about them one time. That would have been really cool. Is there anybody waiting for you on the outside? Any family or kids or anything? Girlfriend, maybe? My bad, my bad. Alright, well I guess this interview's over. Appreciate it, Mr. Panadol. Master Sergeant, would you be interested in giving a short interview? Hey, we're in a safe enough place. Hey, we're in a safe enough place. Are you sure you don't want to at least give a couple of words? I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in what you've had to say. Oh, come on, man, just a little bit. I'm sure the viewers would love to hear. Alright, well, there's a campfire right here, isn't there? Let's see, let me get a good angle, and there we go. So, Master Sergeant, what brought you to the zone in the first place? Answers to anything in specific, or just answers to what the fuck? So you want to figure out why the zone is here in the first place. I've heard tales of stalkers finding classified documents deep underground in X labs. Do you think maybe if we figure out how the zone was created, perhaps we could destroy it? How long have you been in the zone at this point? Were you here during the big emission? You know, the big one a few years back? Can you tell me a little bit about what you saw during the big one? Damn, the psi waves must have been coursing right through your skull. Well, it didn't turn you into a zombie, so I guess you can count yourself lucky. Still, though, all things considered, I guess it's that kind of mentality that explains why you've been able to survive here for 5 long years. So what's the plan? Are you just gonna stay here until the zone's destroyed then? If you do accomplish your goal, is there anything to go home to? I don't mean to pry, and feel free to tell me to leave it if it's something personal, but do you have family waiting for you on the other side of the cordon? Hey, I was just wondering, man, out of curiosity. You know, I've got a few siblings. I was wondering if maybe you had some brothers or sisters out there. Well, is there any parting wisdom or any message you'd like to give people on the outside world about the zone? Should people on the outside world fear the zone? Would you like to see the outside world doing more to try to deal with the zone? How do you feel about the state not letting the UN send in forces? You know, some of the eggheads were telling me stories about some sort of militarized scientific expeditionary unit they encountered far into the north. Have you ever seen anything like that? Perhaps they're after the documents that you're trying to secure. One last question, and then I think we can wrap this interview up. What's your favorite thing about the zone? Sergeant Babbage, would you be interested in giving an interview for the folks back home? And when do you expect that will be? Do you ever have any plans to leave the zone? Say, have you ever heard of something called the Brotherhood of Steel? No, I'm just saying you guys kind of remind me of them. That's all. Hey man, did it Hey man, did it ever occur to you that next to the campfire that rain kind of looks like it's raining blood? Hey, that was a song. I should see if one of the radio guys or somebody around has a cassette of it. Who was the band that played Raining Blood? Do you remember? Slayer, right on, man. Dun 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 dun. Damn, Salva, I really didn't expect that you were a Slayer fan, but color me impressed. Wait a minute. No, the black nerd suit, now it checks out. No, that's what I'm saying, man. That suit slays. What do you think of mine? I picked it up a couple of days ago. Hey Salva, add some layers of mutant hides to your suit and it'll really protect you from mutant bites. Hey Alexi, do you have a minute to give an interview about the shit you've seen in the zone? First off, how do you think the zone got here in the first place? Human recklessness, so you do think it was people that made it. So if people created the zone, do you think people can fix the zone then? Do you agree with the duty guys about that? And you aim to provide some of that wisdom. Well, if you're after stewardship and they're after conquest, it sounds like that there's still some philosophical differences that need to be worked out. It's that kind of symbiosis coming together, even though there's other things that we individually want so that we can all get what we need. It's kind of a metaphor for life. So if you could deliver a message to everybody outside the zone about the zone, what would you tell them? By respect its boundaries, do you literally mean people should just stay out? How do you feel about all the stalkers coming in lately? You work with the military sometimes. Have you ever talked to them about their shoot-on-sight policy towards loners? How do you feel about that sort of infighting in the zone? Anyway, enough about the big existential stuff. What's the coolest thing you've ever seen in the zone? Better not look at that thing for too long though, right? Or it'll fry your brains. How long have you been here studying the zone anyway? What did you do before you came to the zone? Ah, you want to be the next Sakharov, don't you? Ah, so the truest kind of scientist. You want the answers just because you can't abide not having the answers. I feel that. That's kind of what got me to the zone also. So do you think there's any truth to the stories about the wish granter? I mean, surely something's there. Didn't Strelok find it? How would you feel about making a trip up to the CNPP and exploring that idea? That's a good question. I try to be as prepared as I possibly can, because out here all it takes is one slip up. Do you have anyone waiting for you back outside the zone? Is there a home out there somewhere? If you could choose, would you stay here in the zone or would you leave? Inescapable. I think I understand what you mean. Even if you wanted to, you couldn't pull yourself away. Kolod, you told me you didn't want an interview, and now you're interrupting my actual interviews like every 30 seconds. Do you want to give an interview? Alright, well keep your yaps shut while I'm conducting an interview over here, okay? We're gonna have to edit this out in post. Yeah, just keep the door secure. That's all you gotta worry about right now. Sorry about that. My interns get uppity sometimes. Oh, it's hard to keep my sanity intact with that ragtag band. You know they just randomly shoot mercenaries whenever they see them? Misguided indeed, because now I'm left to pick up the pieces and deal with the diplomacy after all that. Ain't that the truth? So what have you adapted and overcome recently? Any interesting stories from the field from the last week or so? Anomalies shaping new ecosystems. That sounds really interesting. Could you tell me more? What sort of life did you find living in an anomaly? Yeah, but was it like a plant or a bacterium or what? And what kind of anomaly was it growing in? Fascinating. If you don't mind later, if you've, got any publications on that, I'd love to look over them. Are you always this deep, or are you on the vodka again? Ah, so the weed then. You can neither confirm nor deny. Don't worry, I'm not gonna leave that part in the interview. You don't have to worry about hiding it. I see you shaking over there. Tremors from the zone's embrace. How'd that happen? That sounds like a pretty terrible accident. Wait, so you don't know how it happened? Like you didn't just step in an anomaly or something? I mean, yeah, I have run into something that caused my hands to start moving on their own before. Not quite like what you've got going on there, though, buddy. Uh, do you maybe need some meds or something? Kolod, we will go to the nuclear power plant and find out for ourselves if the Wish Granter is real. How's that sound? Whoa, brother, I didn't mean we go tomorrow. Well, I already got the plan. We're gonna go up to Jupiter, we're gonna do some work for the nerds up there for a little while, and you boys are not going to start picking fights with freedomers and mercenaries and get me fired. What if they're the ones guarding the nerd bunker? I don't think you guys understand how frequently we're gonna have to be at the science base over there. I mean, I'm basically going to work for Tushonka. He's like the head honcho at that place. I'm just saying, it would be really cool if you guys could make friends with the Freedomers up at that train station again. I heard what went down a few years back. Well, yeah, that goes without saying. But yeah, man, don't worry about the Wish Granter. We're gonna find out if that thing's real or not. Sorry about the continual interruptions from my very rude interns. Yeah, as much as they talk about discipline, they really could use some. Speaking of, how would you say the zone has helped you, in general, with your life? That's about what everybody said when I asked them that. You sure you're not holding out on some of the good stuff from freedom, man? 'Cause, you know, if you are, I could... I was talking with a freedomer the other day that was telling me about an anomalous doobie. Would you believe that? Do you think such a thing could exist, though? They said they could just smoke and smoke and smoke and smoke it, and it would just never burn down. Yeah, honestly, if something like that existed, all the freedomers would probably kill each other over it. Anyway, is there anything else you'd like to say before we conclude the interview? Amen. Amen, science brother. Amen to that. Do you think the world can coexist with the zone, if it really can't be destroyed or reverted? That's true. The only constant in nature is flux. I will embrace the flux, my friend. Good luck in your research and safe travels out there in the zone. Illuminate the path to understanding. You know, you kind of sounded like one of those monolith boys. Yeah, that's true. You're not drooling or anything. You're probably good. Hey Hip, care to give an interview about the time you spent in the zone? Well, you're just sitting here smoking a cig right now. Don't you have at least 2 or 3 minutes? I sure appreciate that, Hip. Thanks for the time. Anyway, first off, what's the main takeaway from the time you spent in the zone? What can you tell us about the zone? Merciless indeed. That's why we've got to stick together with each other, right? Do you have any plans of leaving the zone? Yeah, I think that's how I and probably most of my fellow researchers feel as well. There's just too many secrets to explore. So what's the coolest thing you've ever seen in the zone? Yeah, those things really are spooky. Hey, have you ever been up to the village and the army warehouses? There's a bunch of bloodsuckers there. There must be a couple of nests nearby. Hey, that's what my trusty chimera hunter's for. These 2 barrels will deal with the bloodsucker apiece. What's the most unexplainable thing you've ever seen in the zone? What did it do with the dogs? Did it just, like, play with them, or did it throw them? I mean, I guess it's a poltergeist, so it threw them. Are you ever gonna try to go explore the nuclear power plant itself? Any plans for any deep raids like that? Would you believe me if I told you one of my interns thought we were just gonna go to the nuclear power plant tomorrow, and he's like, yeah, okay, that sounds like a plan. Oh, he's definitely got balls, and he's definitely not a greenhorn, but I'm not sure he's got brains, to be honest. Well, is there any message you'd like to give the outside world about the zone? Yeah, I think too many of the faint-hearted ones come in here and then die within a day or two, right? Are you a tough bastard, Hip? What brought you to the zone in the first place? Not, not that I've got any... I just think it's a little surprising. I don't see that many ladies out here. Zone's a tough bitch for tough bitches, huh? Who's this guy that keeps interjecting in this interview?
Быть наготове.
Alright, well, I'm pretty sure my 2 or 3 minutes for the interview's up. Dude, is that an anomalous cigarette? You've been smoking on that thing in the rain now for a minute. Fucking zone magic. I knew it was real. I was just arguing with another ecologist over whether or not the legendary never-ending doobie was real. So do the Freedomers really have a joint that never burns out? Ah, so it's just you that's got the anomalous cigarette that never burns out. Unless that's some sleight of hand and that's why you keep turning to the side like that. Either way, cool stuff, Hip. I got 5 interns watching my back. All I have to do is lead the way. Nah, it's cool. They're actually hardcore military trained duty guys. I just call them interns because they're a bunch of shitheads and don't know much about science. Well, any last words before we wrap up this interview? Yeah, ain't that the truth? You never know when there's bandits hiding around a tree and they're just a distraction. Alright, well, thanks for your time and safe travels in the zone to you, Hip. Say, Wolf, do you have a moment to give an interview on your time in the zone? Something's lurking. Where? Point it out. Oh, well, that's a ways away from over here. You sure you don't have just 2 or 3 minutes? Alright, you are the most badass guard that the Rookie Village has, so I guess I'll leave you to it, man. Roger Wilco. Hello there, Stalker. Say, why do they call you Sarek the Twilight? Hey, hey, I only go out at the night myself. That's cool. Well, I don't know if I need any extra guns right now. I'll let you know if I do. How about that? I've been thinking about replacing some of my interns that have been underperforming. Yeah, I'll let you know if anything opens up. I could always use a hand with my night research. Say, how much do you know about biology? Because most of what I study here is nocturnal biology, so if you've got any knowledge in the relevant field, then you could probably be pretty helpful, along with shooting things, of course. I'll keep that in mind then, Sarek. Appreciate that. So hey, do you want to give an interview about the zone? So lots of people come to the zone, lots of people hear about the zone and have So lots of people come to the zone and lots of people hear about it and have opinions. What's the big takeaway for you? How do you feel about all the people that have been crossing the cordon and coming into the zone in recent years? You spend a lot of time around the rookie village here, right? Helping train up the new guys?
А все-таки накоплю на свой домик, чтобы у речки и лес рядом, и не радиации сидеть.
Well, that's a noble thing you do. You probably save a bunch of lives, or at least prolong them for a few days. Yeah, that's true, I guess. So how long have you been in the zone anyway?
Центр зоны тоже мне. Артефактов кот наплакал.
I just got here a couple of weeks ago myself. I've read lots of documentation, though.
Ах,
Hey,
вот
I've already
что
learned some good lessons, and I knew some before I got here. I've done a lot of reading before I showed up, you know.
в гамачке, да с книжкой толковой.
Hey, Sakharov doesn't deploy as if he doesn't think he's ready.
Ага-ха-ха-ха.
So a lot of folks have told me that they plan on just staying in the zone forever. What about you? Is there a home to go back to, and if so, is that in the cards? So you plan to stay here in the zone forever, then?
Не учатся ничему некоторые и учиться не хотят. Кино американского насмотрелись или крышу срывать.
Hey, home is where you make it, right?
Забудь про аномалии, он тебе про хабар. Ни о чем думать не хотят, кроме бабок, пока кишки по ветками разбросает.
It's a regular, it's a regular Joe Dirt happy ending. What is life but borrowed time?
От судьбы точно никуда не скроешься. Что на роду написано, так оно и будет.
Damn right. Gonna learn everything I can before I go.
Да.
We'll take it for all its secrets. So what's your opinion? Do you think the Wish Granter's real? Do you think the Strelok stories are true?
Пожрать бы чего хорошего. Так ведь нету.
I've heard rumors that Strelok is back in the zone. What do you think that means?
Да. Разбивались тут стаи. Ну точно звери по цвету шкуры. Одни как
If you
разбойники,
had one
другие
message you could tell
хозяева.
the world, what would it be?
Одни то ли нас от зоны, то ли зону от нас охраняют. Солдаты, блин, тоже. Человека им шлепнуть, что высморкаться.
Pragmatic enough, I like it. Alright, well I guess unless you have anything else you'd like to add, that can be the end of the interview.
Сейчас бы дома оказаться. В гамачке. Да с книжкой толковой.
Alright, thanks for your time, Mr. The Twilight. Good hunting to you too, brother. Stay safe out there.
Центр зоны, центр зоны.
Say, Stalker, would
Вот
you be
только
interested
развеять
in giving an
паршивые
interview?
шкуры. Одни как разбойничали, так и разбойничают. Другие то ли нас от зоны, то ли зону от нас охраняют. Солдаты, блин, тоже. Человека им шлепнуть, что высморкаться.
So, lots of people have been coming to the zone in recent years. There have been more and more illegal stalkers and legal stalkers alike. What do you make of the recent interest the world has?
Эх, вот всегда бы такая пруха была.
So which are you here for,
Это
wealth or
если
knowledge?
прикинуть. Ага, точно. 3-4 таких похода, как вчера. Да если б еще хабар не хуже. И все. Завязываю с зоной нахрен.
You seem pretty jumpy. Are you alright there, bud? Fair enough. Looks like we're safe enough here for right now, though. So, shall we continue the interview?
Ах, неохота мне за хабаром сегодня плестись. Сейчас бы дома
Well, I was
лежал.
wondering what the most
В
interesting thing
постели.
you've ever seen in the
Да
zone might be.
книжкой толковой.
Oh man, that sounds amazing. Although I've heard some horror stories about the Red Forest, so I can't honestly say I'd particularly be keen on going there myself. Did you at least document it well? You know, get pictures and samples and all that?
Ну надо же. Вчера Припять видел. Вот так вот, своими глазами. Сказал бы кто месяц назад, ни за что б не поверил.
What's the worst thing you've seen in the zone?
Пить как охота.
What, that
Квасу
giant
как
antenna
парного.
thing?
Да чтоб
I don't know, it
гниль
might be
сожрал.
both. It might be both. You know, sometimes those old projects get adapted for new purposes.
А все-таки накоплю я на свой домик, чтобы у речки, и чтобы лес рядом.
Well, it's certainly a threat right now. I've heard people walking kilometers away from it, getting their brains turned to mush and turning into zombies.
Ах.
You know, I heard a rumor that it's not always at full power, though, so maybe you could get closer to it when the power levels are lower. Maybe if you had some kind of protection.
Да, вот ведь как грустно все выходит.
Well, you were in the Red Forest when you were studying that fungus. Did you have any kind of issues
Как-то
being
мне
that
тут
close
не
to the
совсем по голове
Scorcher?
ходят. Эх, кусок бы мяса такой.
Is that
Здоровый,
maybe why you're so jumpy?
дела. Скворчащий, сочный.
Maybe your proximity to the Brain Scorcher during that expedition could explain your nervousness. You know, I haven't seen any actual peer-reviewed studies on it, but a lot of folks tell me that if you smoke some cannabis, it'll help with the effects of the Scorcher.
всегда бы такая пруха была. Это если
Sure, I'm just
прикинуть.
saying it might calm your nerves
Ага,
a little is
точно.
all.
3-4 таких похода, как вчера. Да если б еще хабар не хуже. И все. Завязываю с зоной нахрен.
Hey, if you want to just take that zombie powder, you be my guest, but I don't trust everything that Sakharov makes.
Эх, не тот уже хабар пошел. Не тот. Неужто завязывать пора?
So, at the best case scenario, what do you see happening with the zone in the future?
Не учатся ничему некоторые и учиться не хотят. Кино американского насмотрелись или крышу срывает от жадности. Ты ему про
You think we
аномалию,
could
он
you
тебе про
think we could
хабар.
get some kind of free
Ну,
energy out
пиздец
of like
всяких
an anomalous
полугодов.
power plant or
Пока
something?
кишки по веткам не разбросает. Позбивались тут в стае. Ну точно звери по цвету шкуры. Одни как разбойничали, так и разбойничают. Другие то ли нас
Say, what do you
отзовут,
make of
то
the
ли зону
monolith?
от
Have
нас
you ever had any
охраняют.
encounters with them?
Солдаты, блин, тоже. Человека им шлепнуть, что высморкаться.
Good luck studying them. If you try to capture one, they'll hold onto a grenade and blow it up in your face.
Да, настроение хуже не бывает. И гнусь кругом сплошная.
Do you think it's true that they get messages directly into their mind
Неплохо,
from the monolith?
неплохо. За одну ходку 2 ночные звезды. Если так и дальше пойдет, в гробу я видал ваш хваленый клондайк.
Collective psychosis. That sounds like about the closest thing to it, I reckon.
И никого на горизонте. Вот и ладушки. Вот и хорошо.
I'm planning to go up to the nuclear power plant at some point in the future. The date's not exactly specified yet, but would you like me to grab you when we start planning the expedition? Yeah, I'll keep a lookout. Yeah, I'll keep a lookout for you if I decide that it's time to do that. You'd probably make a great asset to the team.
Ну знаешь же, везение свое идиотское. Артефакты, как же. Одни тропы не хошь